What's up, Purdue Nation? Purdue Football is officially back in action at fall camp right now. They're about 2 weeks in, with about 2 weeks left till kickoff against Ball State as the time I'm recording this video. And while this is going on, there are a couple of spots that had some really heated roster battles with lots of different guys that could win starting spots for that first game against Ball State. So today we're going to break down the top 4 spots that still have position battles going on, 2 on the offense, 2 on the defense. We're going to look at the front runners, the challengers, and find out who might be starting at some of these key spots for the Boilermakers in week 1, whether it's spots on the O-line, protecting the quarterback, looking at the secondary, finding some of those backup spots, even like running back 2 and stuff like that. We're going to take a look at how these competitions are going and who we're going to see on the field in 2025. For Purdue, the wide receiver position is as wide open as it could possibly be. There are no bona fide returning starters. There are a bunch of transfer players at that position, and so there's a lot of competition. There are 3 guys that have stood out, both from watching my own practices, reading stuff from other reporters, watching some reports from people and things like that. And those 3 are sophomore Armand Branch, who I've talked about in my other videos. Junior Denylon Morissette has had a really good connection with Malachi Singleton, has ran with the ones a lot as well. And then also Michael Jackson III, who's become kind of the screen guy in this offense. When I was at practice, I saw him doing a lot of jet motion things, crossing the formation and being kind of almost like a screen after the RPO and kind of the check down option with a lot of speed afterwards. Now that 4th wide receiver spot, you're going to need at least 4 to play when you're spread out wide and things like that. And I think that spot is pretty wide open. And I think there is a lot of potential there. The player with the most potential at that spot is definitely redshirt freshman Nitro Tuggle. He's transferring in from Georgia, where he was a 4-star recruit. He was from Goshen, Indiana here, so he is kind of a local guy who came back home. And he is super fast, super athletic, and really definitely has the highest ceiling out of essentially anyone in this wide receiver room. But he is still pretty raw. He came here after spring, so he's still getting caught up to speed. Sophomore Corey Smith also came here after the spring and is another guy returning back to Indiana. I believe he went to Brownsburg. He was at Tulsa, where he played a good bit as a true freshman, caught a couple touchdowns, had a decent amount of catches. Wasn't like a huge part of their wide receiver room, but definitely played a good bit. And now has come back, and coaches have really praised him. Josh Henson talked about him. He's had a couple highlights online as well, so he's a guy that definitely stands out. And then you have 2 senior transfers in the room with Chauncey Magwood and EJ Horton Jr., who both are kind of speedster-style guys that I think are pretty good deep threats. When I went to practice, I saw EJ Horton getting open a lot. I also saw him struggle with drops at the one practice I was at. Magwood, kind of in the middle there. I don't know. I think he's a guy who definitely could contribute, but you almost want a younger guy to pass him up if you are a Purdue fan. So it'll be really interesting to see how this room shakes out. Ultimately, just based on the momentum and what the coordinators have been saying, I do think Corey Smith might be the one to win this battle. And if it's not him, I definitely think safety and strong safety are spots that Purdue once again has a wide open competition at. They lost Dylan Thieneman in the transfer portal to Oregon. They really didn't bring back any returning starters, and so that room is wide open. And Barry Odom and Mike Schur went out and got a bunch of veteran guys to have a chance to fill the role here at safety at either spot. The first guy off the list, I think, is senior Crew Wakely from BYU, former walk-on at BYU, came in as a rotational player, had a pretty good last year and was rated pretty well by PFF. And he's made a decent impression here early on. I think he definitely is a guy to look out for at, I believe, the strong safety position. Senior Hershey McLaurin plays kind of a similar role. They're both kind of good run stopper guys, I think. Hershey McLaurin comes from Houston. He was a full-time starter for them last year and is coming in here to West Lafayette. He had a really good pick in practice, too. That made one of the big highlights. And Darius Coffey is coming from Memphis, where he's played. He is also a true senior. He started out in Memphis, has played a good bit there, transferred to Northwestern after last season. Then after going through spring camp, didn't really like the fit in the defense, he said, at Northwestern. So he came here to West Lafayette, followed his old defensive backs coach, who is now at Purdue. Same thing, senior Tahj Ra-El. He definitely is more of a strong safety. He is a run stopper, thumper kind of safety. And he also followed his coach, like I said. He's definitely an experienced guy who has a good shot. There's also redshirt senior Toney Jr. from Nevada, who started for Nevada in the last year. I think is pretty solid. And redshirt senior Myles Slusher, who played for Barry Odom at Arkansas way back in the day, then played early on for Deion Sanders at Colorado and was actually doing pretty well before he got hurt, took some time off football, and now is back for his final year here at Purdue. This one is pretty wide open. I've seen a lot of things. I would say the only one that I would probably bet on right now winning spot would be Crew Wakely in my mind, both from his experience last year on a really good team, being a really good contributing member. And then also after that, if I had to guess, it's probably going to be Hershey McLaurin, Myles Slusher or Tahj Ra-El at the other safety. The offensive line is pretty set for the most part. There are several guys who have been running the ones the entire time, but the spot that is definitely the most up for grabs out of any spot is going to be right tackle. And there are three main competitors for this job at right tackle, with the first one being redshirt freshman Marques Easley. He's another transfer from Georgia, another highly rated guy out of high school who transferred out of Georgia after the first year due to some off-the-field stuff, and he's here at Purdue. And according to all of the pundits, both from Georgia and Purdue, and even some of the people on staff, like his potential is sky high. He has the frame, he has athleticism, he has all the tools to be really, really good, but he's still really raw, green, came in after spring, things like that. We also have senior Bakyne Coly. He has been here for a couple years, came here Ryan Walters' first year. He has a really interesting track to football. He was a NAIA basketball player at 6'7", like 260. He has bulked up a bunch. He's 6'7", like 310, I believe. And he's a guy who played a good bit last year. Did pretty well in run according to PFF, but not all that great in pass. If he can make some strides, he's definitely always been kind of a high potential guy, but also kind of a project at tackle. The last guy coming in is junior Jude McCoskey. McCoskey played his first 2 years at Indiana State, starting 20 games there. Really huge human being as well. I believe he's 6'8", so he is a giant person. And he's been around with the ones a little bit recently too. And so I'd say right now the competition is primarily between Bakyne and Jude McCoskey. However, Easley has been kind of working his way up and started getting some reps recently at some of the higher teams and stuff. So we'll see as he eases in and learns the playbook and things like that, where things go. This one is definitely wide open, and I have a hard time picking. One for Purdue is solid. They have Toney Grimes there, the senior from UNLV, who's going to be the starter on one end. Picking the other guy to go on the other side of him is definitely something that the Purdue staff is still doing, and they have a lot of experience there to do it. Redshirt junior Ryan Turner, who originally started at Ohio State before transferring to Boston College and playing a little bit there, winning a game with a pick six last year, has come in, and staff has really liked him. He's a pretty strong player, good amount of experience, was kind of a highly rated recruit, just kind of fallen a little bit. So he's a guy that has some potential there. Redshirt senior TD Williams from Arkansas Central is also a guy who's played a ton of football, kind of fits the same mold of what they like as well as the guy who's in that running. However, I just based on what I've seen in practice, I don't think he's going to be that second guy, but he definitely could prove me wrong. He's not bad. I'm not trying to say that. And the last one is redshirt sophomore Traveon Wright from Mississippi State, who just transferred in. I like him a lot. He is 6'2". He's a big corner, kind of what they like to see, it feels like, from this staff. He also has been running a lot with the ones from what I've seen. I think he's kind of the guy that has gone under the radar for a lot of people. Like, no media are asking questions about him and stuff, but whenever Purdue football puts out their highlights, or whenever I see, media putting out videos from scrimmages or from practice, I always see Traveon Wright running with the ones and playing against some of these wide receivers that I think are solidified in the depth chart. And so it's kind of tricky for me to pick how this is going to go, but I think it's probably going to be Traveon Wright. And he's kind of my sleeper for this one. I don't think offense is a fun one. Obviously, running back one is Devin Maccabee through and through, but running back two, we have a couple guys to pick from. And I actually really like them all. I think running back is one of the deepest rooms we have at Purdue this season. And there are three guys who are competing for that spot. We have sophomore running back Jaheim Merriweather, who played a good bit as a freshman last year, really was kind of running back three at times behind Reggie Love, and got in a lot of blowouts and really showed some potential, although he did have a couple fumbles that were a little concerning. But he was a guy I really liked. Sophomore running back Antonio Harris, though, has skyrocketed. He played in 9 games last year. A lot of being special teams, only had 1 carry, but he's a guy that has stood out in practice consistently. Great athletic burst, great feel for things, sets the tone from a leadership standpoint. Staff just raves about him and who he is. He was a walk-on, got a scholarship, changed his number, all the things. It's hard not to gush about this kid because he just reminds you so much of Devin Maccabee in that way. When Maccabee got kind of a veteran day where he got to sit out for a day, Antonio Harris was taking all of the running back one snaps almost. So, I mean, it just makes sense here. I think that job is going to be his, but it's still an open competition. You still have a lot of talent in this room. Last one is senior running back Malachi Thomas, who comes in as a transfer from Virginia Tech. Played a lot there. Has a lot of rushes, has a lot of snaps, and was pretty solid for them. Always like a running back 2 or 3 kind of guy, but never running back 1. Came here for a change of scenery. He definitely could win the job too with his, being a veteran and stuff, but just the way the staff talks, I have a really hard time not seeing Antonio Harris up there. That does it for my video. Obviously, there's a big position battle going on at QB as well, but I already have a whole other video on that one, so if you want to check that out, I will link that below. You can go do so. What do you think about these position battles? Who do you think is going to win? Which one do you think is the most important? Which one's the most concerned about? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. If there are any other positions you want me to talk about or go on more of a deep dive on, let me know in the comments as well, and I can definitely do that. Make sure you like, subscribe for more Purdue content. Follow me on X, TikTok, whatever you got, and I will see y'all later. Boiler up. So that does it for my video. Obviously, there's a big position battle going on at QB as well, but I already have a whole other video on that one. So if you want to check that out, I will